We are here today set for an adversary hearing. This case originated out of Harris County. My understanding is the court there has signed an order for protection. There was a notice of hearing, I think, that set a hearing there in Harris County, but we were notified yesterday that the case had been transferred into Potter County, and to comply with the 14-day deadline. I thought it would just be as easy to gather everybody this morning. We are conducting this through Zoom under finding of good cause, since a lot of you are in the Harris County area. And Ms. Taylor is making our record this morning. All right, so present for the Department of Family and Protective Services is Daniel Trout. And I represented today would be Ms. Nunez, and the mother's attorney, Margaret Lombardo, is present. Mother has not logged in, and child ad litem, Ms. Sharma, is also present this morning. All right, ladies, here's sort of how I see the situation. Since this transfer has happened so last minute for us here, we really are going to need, I think, to obviously, that my understanding is that the child is placed here in Amarillo. And of course, I think the mother is still in the Houston area, but as everybody knows, she's also a child in another case of mine. I think the thing to do is to extend the order for protection, and then I will substitute attorneys in this region for each of you. Ms. Lombardo, I can see it might make some sense to leave you in the case for the mother as long as she's there, but I think the long-term plan with her was to get her back to this region. So I think it probably makes sense to go ahead and do those substitutions at this point in time. So I appreciate each of you for the short-lived amount of time that you've been involved in the case, but I think it makes sense for us to reset this adversary hearing to May 9th at 9 o'clock, and we will begin on getting you all withdrawn and substituted right away, so that we can move forward with that adversary on May 9th. So I would just ask Ms. Sharma, anything to report about the child at this point?
Not at this time, Judge. Since I was aware of the fact that it was transferred to Potter County, I did not do my due diligence because of that. So I'm not in compliance, but I don't think there's anything that I can do right now. I can ask for.
All right. And Ms. Lombardo, anything that you think we need to be aware of before we substitute you?
No,
okay. All right. Okay, Ms. Nunez, any updates, anything that you need to update me on?
So Ava did have a parent-child visit yesterday with the baby for an hour. We tried to make accommodations because she was attending outpatient program with some behavioral for her mental health. There was an incident with the baby, not with Ava, but she was reporting that she had seen the baby with bruises. So there was RCCL investigation opened up. But we saw the baby. Baby didn't have anything.
Okay. All right. Was that a virtual visit of some kind?
No, it was an in-person visit.
In person. Okay. All right. Okay. Well, I appreciate you all logging in this morning, but we will reset the case to May 9th on a 9 o'clock docket. And thank you all very much for starting your day with us. And hope you have a good rest of your day.
Judge, I do have one question for Ms. Nunez on that last part.
Sure.
Ms. Nunez, you said the mother and the baby had an in-person yesterday?
In-person visit, yes.
Okay, so is the baby not placed in the Amarillo area?
Baby is currently in Lake Jackson.
Okay.
Okay.
Amarillo was supposed to be picking up the baby, but everything was put on hold because the transfer hasn't been made.
Okay.
But the plan is still that the baby will be placed here in our region.
Correct. Yes.
Okay. I wasn't aware that had not happened. That's what I was sure. Okay. All right. Okay. I'll probably be in touch with you, Ms. Nunez, before our next hearing, just so that I can make sure I have all the information I need.
Okay.
I appreciate it.
All right, thank you all very much.
Thank you, Judge.
Since you've appeared in Potter County Council, you can submit a pay sheet. My coordinator can email you the form that we use here. Because I certainly want to compensate you for your time today. And if Miss Katie, just look for an email from Miss Katie and she'll attach that form that you all can submit back to me.
Thank you, Judge.
Okay. All right. Appreciate you both. Thank you very much. We're here today
Goodbye.
for a
Thank
status
you.
hearing. Okay. We're conducting this through Zoom under a finding of good cause and agreement of the parties. We're live streaming and Miss Taylor is making her record. All right. We'll go ahead and take announcements.
Daniel Trial for the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. Jennifer Campos is my primacy specialist. We're present ready.
Stacy Zavala on behalf of Aaliyah.
Jeff Hill on behalf of respondent Father Salah Omar. Judge, I'm not sure if he's with Miss Abakar or not.
I was going to ask that very question.
She looks like she's in the hospital, unfortunately.
Yeah, okay.
So sorry. So he's actually in Potter County.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. He went to court for the charge and they sentenced him to a year in Potter County.
Okay. All right, well, so that answers that question and so Ms. Abakar is present. All right, I'm just trying to make sure. Ms. Abakar, can you hear us okay?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. All right, Ms. Campos, if you would like to give us an update then.
Aaliyah's doing good. She was released from the hospital. She is in a foster placement. And she seems to be doing very well. That's really all the update I have. I have not been able to meet with parents. Every time that I scheduled a meeting, something either came up. Ayan has been really sick. So all of our meetings that we were supposed to have been canceled. So that's where I'm at.
Okay. It does appear she's in the hospital, so were you aware of that?
I just found out this morning.
Okay. So you could maybe go out and check on her and see how she's doing, if there's anything she needs.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. And when was Mr. Omar incarcerated?
I don't know the exact date. It was maybe a week and a half ago. I'm not really 100% sure.
I'm pulling it up, Judge. Looks like date of sentence was 4/12.
So just a year in jail?
He got,
Yeah.
yes, ma'am, 1 year in Potter County Detention Center.
Okay.
That'll be 4 months, Judge, with good time. So just FYI for everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he had, looks like when he went in, he only had 3 days credit. So that's where he's starting from.
Okay. All right. All right. Anything further, Ms. Campos?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Ms. Abakar, is there anything you would like to talk to us about today?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Well, I hope you feel better soon.
Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Hill, anything else today?
Well, no, ma'am. I'll have to get hold of my client and see what's going on. But I know he was willing to work services, previously. I presume when he gets back out, he'll be willing to do what he can do.
All right. Okay, Ms. Zavala?
Your Honor, Aaliyah's doing really well. She does have a G-tube, but she is feeding by mouth as well and is doing really well. She's placed in a foster home that we're familiar with, that we've had another child placed with, and feel like that'll be a great fit for her.
All right. All right, Ms. Abakar, I just talk to you real quickly about your service plan. I understand, obviously, you're hospitalized right now, so your main focus needs to be on getting back to good health. And when you do, then the service plan will be very important. You'll need to start working on those services. So, Ms. Campos, certainly can assist you with getting some things set up and making sure you know what you need to do. But failure to work those services could mean that the child doesn't come home. And worst case scenario, it could mean termination of parental rights. So we don't want to go down that road. So once you're feeling better, you'll need to get started on your services.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. I suspect Ms. Campos will be out to see you at some point in time pretty quick.
Okay.
Okay. All right, then. I will continue the department as temporary managing conservator and continue the child's current placement. Order the service plan as an order of the court. I find that there would be a continuing danger to return the child home today, and that the department will continue to use reasonable efforts to reunify the family. Our next hearing will be August 15th, Peterson, of 2024. We're conducting this through Zoom under a finding of good cause and agreement of the parties. We are live streaming, and Ms. Taylor is making our record. Okay, we'll go ahead and take announcements.
Daniel Trout for the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. Courtney Brown's my permanency specialist. We're present ready.
Vince Nowak for Russell Peterson.
Stacy Zabala on behalf of Jasmine.
Okay. What do we have new since the court report was filed?
Nothing really new to report, Judge. Jasmine celebrated her first birthday, so she is doing very well in her placement. No update really with the parents. No services have been completed since the court report was filed. And that's really it.
Ms. Brown, have you been in contact with either parent?
Yes.
Have addresses changed? Or they still live in the same places?
I have a different address than the last hearing.
For Dad?
Russell, yes. I've had some trouble having contact with Gloria.
Okay, so you're not exactly sure where she is at this point?
No, sir, not at this time.
Have parents done any screenings for you?
They have not.
Have you requested any since the last hearing?
Yes, I requested one in March and then in April as well.
Did you get any responses as to whether they would or would not test?
In March, Russell told me that he would do the one test for me, but he wouldn't be doing any more. And then he didn't do the test in March. So I followed up with him again in April. And as of now, he hasn't taken it.
Okay. Did you ever hear from Ms. Gouch? I know you said you had some issues getting in touch with her.
She did respond when I asked for the drug screen last month, but she said that she didn't have a way to get there. So I suggested, public transport, things like that. I also said Russell was supposed to be going so they could carpool together. She let me know they didn't have gas, and that was the last I heard from her.
Okay. I know at the last hearing, Dad said he was kind of self-employed, doing snow plowing and that kind of stuff. Is he still working? Do you know about job? Have you got any verification on any of that?
I did ask for pay stubs, and he told me that he is now receiving disability. When I asked for some kind of verification to, make sure that that was the case, he told me that it had just started and he didn't have any way to show me that.
Okay. I know the last hearing we discussed home studies. Has any home studies been started? I know we've asked for some, but have any been started?
Yes, so the home study for Russell was submitted. It was denied because the address he gave was a Red Roof Inn, and they obviously couldn't do a home study on a motel room.
Okay. Have you been able to get a home study done on parents or anybody or grandparents, I guess?
There was a little confusion on my end about which parent he wanted the home study done on. I did reach out to his biological mother and spoke with her in depth, and she denied the home study. And then Russell did tell me about Betty Belair, who he wants done. But I'm also a little confused as to the relationship between Russell and Betty. And I also don't know where Betty currently resides. When I asked Russell for her address, he told me she was on vacation in Louisiana. And then when I asked him again if he knew her address, he said no. So I'm not quite sure where she actually resides.
Do you have a number for her?
I do have a phone number, yes.
Have you been able to contact her?
I have not. I've tried reaching out to her multiple times, and I haven't had any kind of response back.
As far as BioMom, you said she denied it. You mean, when you say that, you mean she denied wanting to have a home study done?
Yes,
Okay.
she would love to have a relationship with Jasmine eventually down the road as a grandparent, but she does not want to be in charge of raising her.
Okay. Any other updates? Have we been able to try to get some services set up due to them being out of state? I know that's been an ongoing thing.
We're still working on that.
Okay. All right. I'll pass witness, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Nowak.
Courtney, in the duration of this case, has Russell Peterson completed any services?
I believe at the last hearing, he stated he'd completed a parenting class, but I have not received any kind of certificate about that. So I can't say that's true or not. And I know he's completed a few counseling sessions as well before he moved. But since I've had the case, no, he hasn't completed any services.
Thank you, Courtney. Judge, that's all I have.
Okay, Ms. Ball.
I have no questions.
Okay. Anything else? Ms. Brown?
No, Judge.
Judge, since TD's not here, may I ask that same question of Courtney with respect to TD's client?
Sure.
Courtney, has Gloria completed any services?
She has not.
Thank you, Judge, and thank you, Courtney. That's all.
All right, and so, Ms. Zabala, do you have a recommendation to make?
Yes, Your Honor. Jasmine is placed in a wonderful home. She is thriving. We have all kinds of cute pictures from her, and I do recommend that placement continue.
Okay, so let's talk about dismissal dates and jury trial and all that good stuff.
Yes, ma'am. For the extension, in order to do the jury trial, the extension date dismissal date would be October 25th. And I believe Rachel reached out and August 19th was the date for the jury trial.
Correct. Ms. Katie, do we have that set in stone? We got a reporter.
Yes, Judge, I've got it set up with the 320th.
Okay, that's what I thought. All right, so I haven't signed that extension yet, correct?
Correct, Judge. I don't believe we have not done that yet.
All right. Okay, due to let me just ask, Mr. Nowak, it's your request, still relying on that jury request?
Yes, Your Honor, and depending on the time constraints of the court and the lawyers, especially today, maybe after this hearing is over, I could get a quick breakout with Daniel and Stacy. If it can fit in your time frame. If not, I can call them after the court's done.
No, our next one isn't till 10 o'clock, so you all could have it for 10 minutes to visit.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right, then I'm going to find extraordinary circumstances exist to extend the case because of the jury request, and solely because of the jury request. And we'll grant the extension. We will set a new dismissal date of October 25th of 2024. And we will be set for that trial beginning August 19th of 2024 at 9 a.m.
And Judge, do we have another hearing in between that time, or is that? I think on one docket it said it had I believe Courtney was telling me like a June date for another hearing, or? I think
we got an email from Ms. Katie saying that was off the docket.
Okay.
Yeah, but if we needed the court's intervention for whatever reason to get a hold of the court.
That's right. I do remember seeing that. Thank you, man.
Okay. All right, then. Everybody get your seats to the dry cleaner in August, and we'll see you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, let me put y'all in a breakout room.
Okay.
And Judge, with the court's permission, I will leave the breakout room, leave the meeting, and then log back in a little before 1 o'clock.
Sure.
Thank
And
you.
as part of my ruling, I didn't really finish. Continue the department as temporary managing conservator, continue placements, find a continuing danger to return the child home at this time, and department will continue to use reasonable efforts to reunify the family. Okay, all that good stuff.
Yes,
Then I'll see you in August. Okay, let me get you guys in the room. Sorry, Amy, I didn't mean to throw you there. I don't have audio with Ms. Lyons, and Mr. Langford was logged in, but he kind of fell out. Although I know that Mr. Michelson and his client have agreed and signed.
And Judge, yes, I have never received that signature. I emailed Mr. Michelson yesterday that I had not received it. So but I did see the email where he told the court he was agreeing to it. And he and Lorraine, correct me if I'm wrong, Ms. Naranjo and Mr. Michelson both emailed me last Friday stating that both parents were in agreement. There were some issues on asking about some placement stuff is mainly the issue they wanted to talk about.
Your Honor, that was my understanding from Ms. Naranjo. Yes.
But they both emailed me, told me they agreed. I've not got signatures from either one due to the wanting to talk about their placement.
Mr. Michelson appeared a little bit earlier today, and I let him in from the waiting room before he had to be in his other docket. And there's Mr. Langford. He's joined in now. I think Mr. Trout, I think you were in you were in a breakout room.
Right.
And I brought him in, and he confirmed that, and that they were in agreement.
Yes, ma'am.
And what he indicated to me was that request for placement may be kind of on hold at the moment because they determined that's where Ms. Lyons is living.
Yes, ma'am. And I found that out late yesterday.
Yes. Yes, Your Honor. And I found that out yesterday also.
Okay. So he just indicated that they were probably not going to need to deal with that today. I indicated, of course, it's something that can always be looked at.
Yes, ma'am.
Later. So both parents are here, so we can confirm that that's not an issue today. But let me go ahead and call the case. And
Judge, is Maria Cedillo?
Yes.
Okay, she's my investigator on this case.
I also have Haley Jorrant.
She's the supervisor.
Set for our adversary hearing. We are conducting this through Zoom under a finding of good cause and agreement of the parties. We are live streaming, and Ms. Taylor is making our record this morning. All right, we'll go ahead and take announcements.
Daniel Trout for the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. We are present, ready on.
Oh, Lorraine, you're muted.
Sorry, Your Honor. Lorraine Lucero. I'm appearing for Alexis Lyons. I'm standing in for Kendra Naranjo, Your Honor, and we're present ready.
Stacy Zavala on behalf of Carson.
Okay, and also present is Mr. Langford, and his attorney, Mr. Michelson, has emailed the court, actually appeared earlier, and I brought him in and had a brief conversation with him. He had to be in another docket this morning, but the indications is that he and his client were in agreement. All right, Mr. Trout.
Yes, ma'am.
If we have a full announcement, then we think.
Yes, ma'am. From my understanding from emails from Mr. Naranjo and Ms. Lucero from yesterday, I believe mother's also in agreement. There were some questions on some placement issues. I think we've got the information given out on that right now. That may be put on hold for a little bit. It's my understanding Ms. Lyons is currently living with her mother, who they were talking about placement with. So that puts a hold on that. But other than that, that's the only issues that I knew about or I'm aware of, Your Honor. But and Ms. Zavala sent me a signature on it. So I believe we're all in full agreement. To TMC, to the Department, Parents to Work Services, not asking for any child support or medical support at this time, and to work the case.
Okay, and Ms. Lucero, is that Ms. Lyons' agreement?
Your Honor, that is my understanding, but since she's present, I would like to ask her if that is her understanding and her agreement, please.
Ms. Lyons, if you can.
Yes, that's fine. As long as it's just on hold and it's not just put out with my mother, then yeah, that's fine.
Ms. Lyons, that can always be revisited. Let me just suggest to you that, right now you having stable housing is critically important. We have placement for the baby. So, I'd much rather you be at your mother's home where you can kind of get on your feet, start working these services, gain some independence, it better than that than having you homeless or, in unstable housing. So I guess my point there is just, don't be in such a rush to get out the door so that the baby can get in the door, that it puts you kind of behind the 8 ball. Okay.
Okay.
All right. All right. And then, Mr. Langford, your attorneys indicated that you are also in agreement with this. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am, that's correct.
Okay. All right. Ms. Zavala, do you believe that this is in the child's best interest?
I do, Your Honor. Carson's doing good. He's still having some tremors in his legs. He's been off morphine for about 12 days. He is placed in a foster home that I'm very familiar with. We have another child there, and the foster home definitely has medical knowledge and can be on the lookout for any issues with Carson.
All right, then. Then I will approve the agreement as reached by the parties, but find that the evidence is sufficient to name the Department of Family and Protective Services as the temporary managing conservator of Carson. We will not order any child support or medical support at this time, as we anticipate parents will engage in services. I would make a finding that there would be a continuing danger to return the child home today, and request that the department, of course, use reasonable efforts to reunify the family. I'll sign the temporary order, and then our status hearing will be June 11th of 2024. That'll be on a 9 o'clock docket. Your attorneys will make sure that you have the proper Zoom link and that you know what time you need to log in. Even though that docket starts at 9, your case may not be right at 9 o'clock. So check in with them and make sure you know when to log in. Between now and then, the department's going to sit down with you all, and you're going to develop what we call service plans. And that's going to be, that's kind of the Bible of what you need to do during this case. I mean, it's going to be the outline of everything that is expected of you and what you need to do. So we'll talk more about that service plan at the next hearing, but I just want you all to know what to expect, that they will be wanting to meet with you and develop those plans. So it's in your all's interest to certainly make those meetings and cooperate with that process. The more you participate with these folks, really, the better off everybody will be. The more communication you have, the more participate with them, then the likelihood of a good outcome, goes up significantly. So I wish you all the luck between now and June 11th, and we'll see you again then. You can get started on these things right away. You don't have to wait till the next hearing.
Yes, ma'am.
And hope that you do.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Anybody have any questions?
No, I'm good.
When June 11th, say I have stable housing, is that when we can readdress placement?
If you've got stable housing prior to that time, you just need to make sure that your permanency specialist knows that. And I think that's going to be Ms. Peoples. Is that correct?
Correct, John.
Rachel Peoples. And, then the department can initiate and start looking at that. Okay. There's no need to wait till that hearing. So, if you have housing before that, certainly they can start looking at that.
From my understanding, they weren't approving it.
I'm sorry, what?
From my understanding, they weren't approving the placement with my mother. So that's why
Right. I think there were some concerns, but that gives you all some time, everybody, to explore that, look into that. I think that all these folks recognize that sometimes what is going on at the time of removal of a child looks very different once an order granting temporary custody is in place. Okay.
Yes.
So, I can't sit here today to tell you yes or no, because I don't know all the circumstances, but if there is some question about it, then your attorney knows that they can certainly request for me to review that.
Okay.
I have a question. What about temporary visitations? Do we get an hour a week still or not?
I'm sorry, you cut out a little bit. Are you asking?
What about getting our temporary visits within like an hour a week? Do we still get that, or what do we need to do to get that?
let me ask, I mean, I know there's been, here's the big concern that I have. I think there was some, either through testing or admission, there's been some meth use, okay? That methamphetamine can transfer skin to skin between you and a baby. I mean, it's particularly dangerous for an infant. He's already struggling with some withdrawal. So I'm just going to tell you, I think what we're going to be looking for is a negative UA.
Yes, ma'am.
Not a hair, but negative UAs before we start face to face. In other words, where you could actually be with and hold the baby, that kind of visitation. So, Ms. Vala, let me ask.
I think we the pro. So, and I don't mind submitting any time of drug test. So,
Mr. Langford, you're breaking up. Let's try that again.
I don't mind submitting any time to drug test. Weekly at pro. I'm clean. So whenever they want, I can go take a drug test. Both, to get that on board. Going.
Okay, you're still breaking up, but I think what you're telling me is you're willing to go take a drug test. You're taking those for parole on a weekly basis. So,
yes,
that'll be Ms. Peoples will make those requests of you. And when she asks for you to go drug screen, you need to do so. I don't mind at all saying, Ms. Peoples, if we can go ahead and set that up and send them both for drug screening. That way we have a baseline. We can do hair, we can do UA. Right now, if the UAs are negative, then we can start the visits.
Okay. That'd be great.
If there's any positive for methamphetamine on a UA, I just knowing that he's still struggling a little bit, I can't pile on and make it worse.
That's understandable.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
All right, so Ms. Peoples, if you want to go ahead and get that paperwork, and then just notify Ms. Lyons and Mr. Langford when you want them to go. So probably, maybe within the next few days.
Okay, yes, ma'am.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Okay, I appreciate y'all, and I wish you the best of luck. Get going on stuff as quick as you can.
Yes, ma'am, thank you.
Okay, thank y'all.
Thank you.
Hey, Judge, I apologize. Earlier today, I was talking to another client, and I realized I should be talking to you about Miss Goucher. I don't know, was there anything of substance done today on that case?
No, you might want to call Vince. They had a little breakout room after our hearing, or you and Daniel could talk, but because he was in there with him.
Yeah, Vince had talked to me about, the jury trial and everything. And so, yeah, I'll call Vince.
And Judge, you can put TD in the room. I can talk to him real quick if he wants to.
Sure. TD, I'll put you in
fine.
With Daniel and he can update you.
I mean, I can just tell you, if you want to put a note on your screen about Gloria, I do not anticipate Gloria coming back to Texas for anything. I mean, I don't think she has the means to do that. So, if we have to proceed without her body present, we can do that.
Yeah, I mean, all that was discussed today was that no other services have been worked, and they're having trouble staying in contact with her. And Dad's ICPC couldn't be started because the address that he reported was a Red Roof Inn.
Is what?
Is a Red Roof Inn. And
yeah.
That his mother had declined wanting to have a home study done.
Right.
And that
Vince and I have discussed. I mean, this is a pretty bizarre one, that's for sure.
So that's about all that happened. That's the recap.
Okay.
But I'll put you in with Daniel, and because I don't know what else they talked about, obviously.
Yeah,
so,
I've not been able to get Gloria to talk to me in the last month. So, she's just floating around up there.
All right. Well, I'm going to stick you in room 1 with Daniel. Then I can move you back until we're done.
All right.
Okay, Mr. Jackson, if you are at your computer, you can go back to room 1.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Trout would like to speak with you in a breakout room. He is in one right now with Mr. Hammonds, but I can move you in there.
Okay, I'll move over there.
It was on. They're talking on another case, but I'll go. He wanted me to put you in as soon as you came in so he could visit with you.
All right. Well, just your court reporter's there, and Amy's there, right?
Yes.
Okay, Amy, I'm asking you to note for the record that I did not ask for this breakout room.
I mean, I come in and you're already talking about me, Joel.
Hey, would y'all mind stepping out? I gotta talk about it.
We're here set for an adversary hearing. We're conducting this through Zoom under a finding of good cause and agreement of the parties. We are live streaming and Ms. Taylor is making our record. All right, we'll go ahead and take announcements.
Daniel Trout for the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services will present, ready, Your Honor.
Joel Jackson on behalf of Desiree Ames, present, ready, Your Honor.
Stacy Zavala on behalf of Whitney.
And Mr. Jackson,
Yes,
also, who is also in the room with you? Is that Mr. Ames?
No, sir. This is her boyfriend, David.
Okay.
Nappeth.
All right.
And the department's aware of him. I think they've done a background check on him and all. Everything's fine.
Okay. All right. No, that's fine. I just needed to make sure I had everybody identified correctly that was present today.
Yes, ma'am.
And Judge, before we get going, I guess we need to talk about, we have not got Dad served. He's filed that in this. We have not, our service, he's down in San Antonio. It has service on him has not come back. I don't believe there's been a whole lot of contact with him. So I didn't know how the court wanted to proceed today. From my conversation with Mr. Jackson, he and his client are in agreement. It is a wrapper case, but as I said, we have a bio dad that we have not got served. He has no attorney. I didn't know how the court wanted to proceed this morning.
Let me ask, and give me just any kind of, general idea of what, if any, contact we've had with him.
Ms. Ponce?
I've attempted to contact him via mail. I do not have a current number for him or anything like that. And so also did a accurate search on him and I've had no contact with him.
Okay. Let me just ask, Ms. Ames, have you had any contact with him?
No, ma'am, not recently since I've been here. No, ma'am. I try not to keep contact with Trent. We have domestic violence issues, so I try not to keep contact with him.
Okay.
And Judge, for what it's worth, she has also filed a divorce. I think it's on her own pro se divorce.
Yes.
And he hasn't been served in that divorce either as of this date.
Okay. Well, I just didn't know whether they had communication and he might know what was going on or anything like that. So I understand why you avoid the contact. So no worry about that.
And real quick, Ms. Ponce, you mailed a letter out to Dad. Is that correct? You mailed the paperwork to Dad?
Yes, I mailed all the removal paperwork to Dad.
Did it come back as unserved or wrong address or anything? But you haven't heard back?
No, it hasn't come back at all, but I haven't heard back from him.
Okay, and he has not reached out. And like I said, Judge, we mailed out everything, I don't know, a week or so ago, probably, and nothing has come back on our end either as far as service and getting all that taken care of. Okay.
Do we know, and this may be, Ms. Ames, I'm sorry to keep coming back to Ms. Ames, but she may have a better idea than anybody. Do you have what you know is a good phone number for him?
I do not. The only phone number that I know of is his brother's phone number. But I don't know Trent's phone number. No, I do not know him.
Okay. And Ms. Ponce do you have that number for his brother?
No, I do not, but I can get it.
Would you all mind sharing that with her?
Your Honor, I will try to send that to her in a chat as we speak.
Okay. Then the other question I have is, has anybody found him on social media?
I have not.
Okay.
Is he on social media?
He is on social media. He's on Facebook.
Okay. What I would like to do, and I really hate to be, impose, is I would like to go ahead and reset this, and for us to try to make contact with him.
Yeah.
If Mr. Jackson, if you and your client are in agreement, then hopefully if we have a reset, it would be very brief. But I'm a little uncomfortable proceeding, without us at least making that attempt. And especially if he's got social media, we may be able to find him that way. So.
Your Honor, there's not a problem with that. Mr. Trout was accurate when he said that we were in agreement with this. It is a wrapper case. My client had informed me that she had just hired on a new job. She's starting today. And I would just ask that if we return for that hearing, that I could just appear on her behalf and without necessity of her taking off work.
Yeah, I'm perfectly fine with that.
Thank you.
What I'm looking at is, Miss Katie, could we possibly set this on the 7th?
Yes, Judge, we could do morning or afternoon on the 7th.
Okay, so Tuesday, May 7th, Mr. Jackson.
I'm looking, Your Honor.
Okay.
I'm in a mediation that morning, but I'm available that afternoon, Judge.
Okay. We'll just push it to that afternoon. Ms. Zavala, will that work for you?
Yes, I can do that.
Okay. All right, so that's perfectly fine. Ms. Ames, you won't need to reappear. Mr. Jackson can just do that on your behalf, and you know, it may not, it may not change anything. We may have made no more progress in reaching him, but I think we've got, with that phone number and then knowing that he's on Facebook, that helps us quite a bit. And so we might be able to make contact, at least enough to know that yes, he knows what's going on. And then if he chooses not to respond or he chooses not to participate, then that's on him. Okay. All right, then. I appreciate it very much. So we'll push to May 7th.
Your Honor, before she disappears, breakout room whenever we're finished with Alicia.
Sure. Don't push that leave button yet, Ms. Walker.
And Melissa, okay. I'll be back in touch with you before the next hearing. Thank you, ma'am.
All right, then. Ms. Zavala, I'll set you all up. Mr. Jackson, thank you. And then Ms. Ames, I wish y'all the best of luck in all this. Unfortunately, till we have this first hearing, there's not a whole lot that you can talk with the department. There's not a lot that you can do, but I know this is a very difficult situation, and I'm hoping that we can really get Whitney the help that she needs, and that I know you all have desperately tried to provide. So
that's the goal.
Absolutely. Okay, then you all have a good rest of your day, and let me get Ms. Zavala. We are set up for our final in this case. We are conducting this through Zoom under finding of good cause and agreement of the parties. We are also live streaming, and Ms. Taylor is making our record this morning. We'll take announcements.
Daniel Trout for the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. We're present ready.
Lorraine Lucero for the mother, Caitlin Robinson, Your Honor. I'm present. I can't announce ready at this time because there was an issue I wanted to address with the court before we get started. But I also do not expect Ms. Robinson to be present.
T.D. Hammonds for the father, Robbie Wilson. I'm present and ready to proceed, Judge. I have not been able to contact him. I guess I should, as a cautionary matter, ask the court to consider a continuance to see if I would be able to contact him. I've been trying to get a hold of him, had no luck.
Stacey Zavala on behalf of Carson.
Okay, then Ms. Lucero, I'll let you state your issue first.
Your Honor, I'd reached out to Mr. Trout earlier today. I know this is kind of late in the game. I have had contact with Ms. Robinson, and I'm asking the court to give us, if maybe we could start and then recess to give her time so we can meet up to where she can sign relinquishment paperwork in this case. I'm not sure if the court would give us that time, but I had let Daniel know that that's kind of what our plan was.
Well, let me ask, has she actively indicated that she wants to execute a relinquishment?
Yes, Your Honor. We were emailing back and forth quite a bit yesterday, and that's but at that point I wasn't where we could get paperwork drawn up and she could come in and execute that. But yes, she is willing to do that, Your Honor.
All right, and
Judge, just for the record, I would say my worker reached out to me yesterday. She mom had made some comments to her about child staying where it was. She did not mention the word relinquishment to my worker, but that was the indication she got in her last conversation with her yesterday or the day before also.
Well, I think that's been parents' position for quite some time in the case that they were not interested in working services and that their goal really was the child remain where the child is. So I don't know whether St. Francis has had any recent contact with Mr. Wilson or not. I'd be interested in knowing that as well.
Ms. Slater, have you been?
I've not been able to get a hold of him either. When I talked to Kaylin, she said that Robbie did want to do the same thing as she did, leave him where he was at. I asked her to have him call me and to call his attorney, and I haven't heard from him.
So they're not together?
She didn't, at the time they weren't together, physically together. So I told her to have him call me when she saw him.
Okay, but we think they're still together as a couple.
Yeah, I believe so. Yes.
They go back and forth.
We're up against our dismissal date. So, I mean, and there's not any, I'm not aware of any extraordinary circumstances to grant an extension. So the only option is to call and recess. I think you all know kind of the policy of this court is anytime that parents are willing to relinquish, I'm certainly amenable to that versus going forward on other grounds. So, Ms. Lucero, since you've been in very recent contact with your client, I'll agree to call. We'll take a bit of testimony and recess and allow you to try to pursue that. My hope is that Mr. Hammonds and his client might be looped into that, somehow, and that all of that could be maybe done at the same time. So if they are together as a couple, just based on the indicators that they've given us all along. So,
okay.
Yeah, Judge, I'll tell the caseworker if she's able to get them together in a room, if they'll just call me on my cell, I can have a short discussion with him as far as his rights and what he wants to do. Every time I've spoken to him, Judge, he's been with her. So, if it's a situation where they can get them together in an office and he can call me, I'll be glad to, explain his rights to him. And if that's what he wants to do, they could, possibly do it at the same time.
And Judge, I would say, Ms. Lucero, if you're able to get your client somewhere and Robbie is with her, we're always willing to do it here at the courthouse. If we can get them both here and get them, we got the notary, we got the witnesses, we can get it all done at one time if y'all can get them here. If you want to do it in your office, that's fine, but we're always willing to do it too, as long as y'all talk to them.
Okay, thank you.
So,
and generally, Judge, any time of the day, I think everybody has my cell phone number. It's in my pocket. The only time I'm not able to answer is, of course, when I'm standing in front of a judge in another hearing. But otherwise, I hope I'm easy to get a hold of.
And I appreciate that. Ms. Katie, she's maybe to May 9th. I would like to keep it on a short fuse.
Yeah, that's fine.
So we're looking at, that's Tuesday, May 9th, correct, Ms. Katie?
No, that's a Thursday, Judge.
I'm sorry. Yeah. Wrong week. Okay. Thursday, May 9th. I'm sorry.
Okay. And Your Honor, is that 9 o'clock for that hearing, or is it 9 o'clock docket? It just said I have some stuff later on that morning. I just want to make sure.
That docket wouldn't have gone out yet, so if we need to do it right at 9, to help you out, that'd probably be fine.
That'll work for me.
Miss Katie, would that work?
Yes, Judge, we can set it to go first.
Okay. So we will set it then right at 9. Mr. Ham, does that work for you?
I believe so, Judge.
And PD and Lorraine, I'll have relinquishment sent to y'all here in just
all right. Thank you.
Okay, then Mr. Touch, you can call your first witness.
Call Alexis Valenzuela, Your Honor.
Right.
I am. I was assigned to that investigation.
How did the department become involved in this case and with this child?
We received a report about Carson testing positive on a UA for methamphetamines.
And was that at his birth?
Yes, it was.
Excuse me. Were you able to meet with the parents?
I was able to meet with Kaylin.
Okay, and Kaylin, give me her whole name, please.
Kaylin Robinson, who's the mother of Carson.
Okay, and did you find out who the father of the baby was?
I did. Kaylin identified him as Robbie Wilson.
Okay, and you said you were only able to meet with the mother. Did you attempt to meet with father also?
I did. I was not able to meet with Robbie until I believe after we obtained custody of Carson.
Okay. Where were you able to meet with mother? Was it at the hospital or at her home?
I spoke with her at the hospital.
Okay. Did you address the concerns with mother of why we were involved?
I did.
And did mother admit anything or deny? What was the conversation like?
She did. She admitted to methamphetamine use last on the day that Carson was born, and she admitted to methamphetamine use just about every day throughout her pregnancy.
Okay. Were you able to see the child?
I was, yes. He was in the NICU at the hospital.
Okay. Approximately how long did the baby stay in the NICU?
I want to say a few weeks. He was premature, so he was in the NICU for quite a bit.
Okay. Was he showing any signs? Did he have to, withdrawals or anything?
To my knowledge, he wasn't showing any signs of withdrawals.
Okay. Other than being positive at birth and being a preemie baby, did he have any issues? Was he having to have oxygen or anything like that?
I believe so. And then he had to undergo an antibiotic treatment for syphilis. And so that was another reason he was in the NICU.
Okay. Judge, do you want me to keep going or?
Let me just ask, it'd be great if we could get all of Ms. Valenzuela's testimony on today, and then she wouldn't even have to come back. So anybody have a problem with doing that?
No, Judge.
No problem.
I will proceed. So you said mom admitted to methamphetamine use right before the birth and during the pregnancy.
Yes.
Did she mention having any prenatal care or anything like that?
She did not receive prenatal care.
Okay. Did y'all discuss trying to, or let me back up. What steps did you take in trying to prevent removal?
I discussed family-based safety services. I also discussed a family team meeting and a plan for supervision. The first option she gave me was her grandmother, and her grandmother would not allow the department to look around the home to ensure it was appropriate for Carson. The second option she gave me was her mother, and when I talked to her mother was not able to serve as a supervising party.
Okay. Did you discuss any type of drug treatment for mom?
That was something that would have been offered through the family-based program.
Okay. If that would have been able to be put in place, was mom willing to do that, or what did she state as far as that?
Yes, she was willing to work services. We just could not get an appropriate supervising party in place.
Okay. And as far as working services, but was mom willing to go into some sort of inpatient treatment?
I cannot remember if we discussed that, but we did discuss working services and all of the recommendations that they would have for her.
Okay. Did you ask mom and dad to try to get them to go drug screen for you?
I did.
Did they?
I did not ever get a drug screen back from Kaylin. I did get a urine analysis back from Mr. Wilson. He was delayed on taking that drug screen, and then he did not do the hair screen that we requested him to do.
Okay, so he did complete a UA. He was just late for it.
Yes.
And refused to do the hair follicle.
Yes.
Did any of your conversations with dad, did he ever admit to drug use?
He did not know. The conversation that I had with him and mom at the office was very brief.
Okay. He's an alleged dad in here. Did he admit to being the father?
I do not believe so.
Okay. Did y'all never had a full-on conversation? I know you said mom stated he was, but dad never said one way or the other.
Right.
Okay. And mom and dad are not married.
Right.
Did mom admit to a long
I'm sorry, you cut out.
Sorry. Did mom admit to a long history of drug use?
She did, yes.
And did she show or state any indication of wanting to stop?
She did. She talked about being willing to stop for her children.
So due to the drug screens and admittance of mom on the drug use, the department felt that it was in the best interest of the child to remove the child at that time?
We did.
And due to the efforts put forward by the department to prevent removal, those were not able to happen, were they?
That's correct.
Did dad ever give you any people to look at for placements?
No, I never received that paperwork back from the family.
Okay. Did you ever receive any other paperwork back from Robbie Wilson?
I did not. I did attempt to give them that paperwork, and then I ended up having to mail it out.
Okay. Where was the child placed?
I believe St. Francis did that placement since it was a subsequent placement, but I believe he was placed in a foster placement in Canadian Texas.
Okay. And when your duties with the case were over with, child was placed and doing well?
Yes.
And at the time, parents were willing to work with the department as far as the removal?
Yes.
Okay. And you do believe that due to the circumstances surrounding the birth and the parent's situation, it was in the child's best interest to remove?
Yes.
Did parents have stable housing, stable living?
No, at that time they were living in an RV, and they did not disclose to me where the specific location of that RV was.
Okay. So I guess it's safe to assume you never saw that where they were living?
That's correct.
Okay. I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
Just a quick question, Mrs. Valenzuela, what were the results of that UA that your father gave?
It was negative.
Okay. All right. And just for the record, Mr. Wilson did check that he acknowledged being the biological father of the child on his statement of procedures that he filed requesting a court-appointed attorney with his, his application or affidavit of indigency and request for counsel. Mr. Hammonds did, I'll have to ask you to unmute. Did Mr. Wilson ever request genetic testing?
Judge, I think during one of our first hearings, there was some discussion about him submitting to a paternity test, and that it never developed. For some reason, I think during the status hearing, I think that might have been discussed.
I don't have a note that he requested it.
Yeah, he never, I can tell you this, orally to me during our phone conversations, he never denied being the father.
All right, I don't have any note that he requested genetic testing. And like I said, he acknowledged that on his affidavit of indigency.
Right.
Okay. All right. Ms. Lucero, any questions?
No questions, Your Honor.
Okay, and Mr. Hammonds?
No questions, Judge.
All right, Ms. Zavala, any questions?
No questions.
All right, so is Ms. Valenzuela free to excuse counsel? Do you want her subject to recall?
I have no objection with excuse me, Your Honor.
No objection.
No objection, Judge.
No objection.
All right, Ms. Valenzuela, thank you so much. You're free to go. And unless Mr. Trout makes some panicked phone call to you on our reset date, then you won't have to reappear.
Okay, thank y'all.
And I'll do my best not to do that.
Okay, thank y'all.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, then I think that's a logical time to recess before we call conservatorship or case. So we will be in recess until May 9th at 9 a.m. I hope you all can reach them and get the results that we're hoping for. So, okay, thank you all very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Judge. Judge, can you put yourself and Ms. Grissom in room real quick?
I apologize, Judge. I thought these were 1:30 and 2. So
no problem. We just were concerned that wouldn't like you to totally ghost us,
No, I try really hard not to.
We are here today on a request for court-ordered services, and we are conducting this through Zoom. We are live streaming, and Ms. Taylor is making our record. All right, we'll go ahead and take announcements.
Todd Albee on behalf of the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. Your Honor, this is the Texas Family First case, so we'll be able to announce an agreement after the announcements.
Vince Nowak on behalf of Ebony Caravan, Your Honor. We are both here and we are ready.
Stacy Zabala on behalf of the children.
Okay, Mr. Albee.
Thank you, Your Honor. As a Texas Family First case, Your Honor, there's already been an assessment done and a family plan of service completed. My understanding is Ms. Kervin is aware of that and that she has agreed to work the services set forth in that family plan of service. The FBA family plan of service has already been on file with the court as of yesterday, I believe.
All right, yeah, I do see that it was filed, so that's great. Okay. All right, then, Mr. Nowak.
That is our agreement, Your Honor, but I just want Ebony to know that Stacy Zavala is the lawyer that represents the children, Ebony. Stacy's going to be calling you, and you see her on the screen right now. You need to take her calls and just accommodate her when she needs to come visit with y'all. And Judge, that's all I have. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. All right. Ms. Carvin, can you see Ms. Zavala? Okay, all right. You might get a call from her assistant too, and her name is Kelly. So just just be aware that it might not be Ms. Zavala, could be her assistant that might be making contact with you to set an appointment. So, all right. Then Ms. Zavala, you think this is in the best interest of the children?
I do, Your Honor. Yes.
Okay. All right then. Based on the agreement and what the court reviewed in the affidavit, then I'll find that it is in the best of children to order these services, and I will sign the order of participation in the Texas Family First case, and then we will get back together on July 23rd for a compliance hearing. That'll be set on a 9 o'clock docket. Ms. Kervin, that's just kind of a check-in. So we, everybody will report to me how things are going, what you've completed, what you still lack, what phase of this program you're in, and is something new come up that we need to address, or it's just informal. And your attorney will make sure that you know when to log in, just like today. For that shouldn't take but 15, maybe 20 minutes. So, if you're working or something where you have a problem making that hearing, Mr. Novak can always appear on your behalf. So if you're working a service or you're at work, the court's very understanding of that. So, that's part of the reason you have an attorney, so they can appear for you if they need to. Okay. All right, then I'll sign the order when it's submitted, and I'll see everybody back July 23rd.
Judge, thank you so much. Ebony, let's stay in touch. And Judge, I believe this is my last hearing with this court today. Permission to leave the courtroom.
Permission is granted, and thank you all very much. I appreciate it. Good luck.
Have a great day. Thank you.
On a compliance hearing, we're conducting this through Zoom under a finding of good cause and agreement of the parties. We're live streaming, and Ms. Goodman is making our record. All right, we'll go ahead and take announcements.
Your Honor, Eugene Graff on behalf of the department, and I apologize for my technical problems, but we'll announce ready at this time.
Vince Nowak on behalf of the mother, Ebony Kervin. We're both present. We're ready, Judge.
And my understanding is Ms. Zavala has filed a report in this matter, so she will not be present today. So, Ms. Rawlison, I guess we'll let you give us an update.
Okay, Ebony has been very compliant with the department. She has completed rational behavior therapy. She's completed the domestic violence information group or information course. It's an online course she completed. She's currently participating in counseling. We did have a few mess ups with some schedules and stuff, but she is scheduled again and only has a few sessions left to complete. She has been participating in the TFF program and meeting with Hannah, the worker from St. Francis. She's allowing us access to the children. I mean, things are going well in that area. She is currently looking for a home. She was evicted and is currently staying at an extended stay hotel. We tried to help her with HUD, but she is not eligible for that until December, but she's trying to figure something out. But she has been compliant with us, and there's no concerns right now.
I think I read probably in one of the other reports that Mr. Trujillo was arrested, or there was a warrant out for his arrest for the incident involving Miss Kervin in the car.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Children all seem to be doing fine.
They do, yes.
Mr. Novak?
Thank you so much, Judge. Mandy, as always, thanks for taking my calls on these cases. And we talked the other day about HUD. So it looks like we've got to get through the rest of July and August. Is that pretty much accurate?
Yes, she won't be eligible until December is what they had told me.
I thought I heard you say September, so it's December.
Yes, yeah.
So we've got to get through the rest of the year. Is there anything, Mandy, I can do to help you with HUD to maybe get her qualified a little bit quicker?
I mean, I don't know. I sent you the email that I had responded to the head worker. So I'm not sure, if you want to reach out to them and see if there's anything that we can do. Because I know last time we had asked her, the department had asked her to move to Pampa. And so she lost her HUD because of that. And so it wasn't because she was not compliant or anything, but she was leaving a situation she needed to get out of to protect herself and the children.
Sure, sure. And maybe this is just my naivete, but who's paying for where she's staying right now?
She is.
Okay, okay. So I need to get on the ball and get after HUD to see if we can get her into some of her own home fairly quickly, correct?
Right. And she's working with Crimes Victims Assistance. I know she said it's going to take a few months for them to help with some funding. And she knows a little bit more about that. But I know that she's also been referred to them and working with them.
Is there any other service, and I'm talking about a financial service, that you think the department can provide that would help her get through December?
The shelters would be the only other place that we could refer her to. We referred her to the family reunification program through HUD, but I mean, they had an opening, but with her being on HUD before, that's why they said that she couldn't qualify until December. But other than that, I mean, we don't really have any other options besides shelters.
And I just want to make sure that my notes are clear.
Yeah.
She lost HUD because she moved to Dumas at the department's recommendation. Did I hear
She
that
moved to
correctly?
Pampa. Yes.
Pampa, I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, you're fine.
Had she not moved to Pampa, she'd still be under the HUD qualifications.
Probably, yes.
Okay. Well, Mandy, I promise you this. I'm going to work as hard as I can with you to see if we can't get something done quick. Judge, thank you so much.
Seems like there should be some exception to that rule if, if someone has to leave their housing because of, safety reasons.
Yeah.
So, anyway, I appreciate you looking into it and seeing if there's anything else that can be done.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Ms. Carvin, anything you need to talk about today or any questions that you have?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Well, just keep at it. I know you've got a lot on your plate right now, but sounds like you're doing well. So
Thank you.
Okay. All right. And Mr. Groff, anything else today?
No, Your Honor. I think the reports have been accurate from our perspective.
Okay.
I show a next review on October 15th.
Correct. All right. So today, we will just continue working with Ms. Curvin and continue all those services. And we'll take a look and see where we're at the next hearing on October 15th. That will be on a 9 o'clock docket. And, Ms. Curvin, my hope is by then that we've kind of got some things squared away and, we may be out of your life at that point in time. It's not a foot race to a finish line other than we do have kind of a certain amount of time we can work with you. More importantly, we want to be sure that you're getting what you need, to succeed. So, don't hesitate to let everybody know if there's something that you need some help with. All right, then I'll see everybody back. And obviously, Mr. Groff, I would find that mom is in compliance with her services.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I think the only issue is they just want to follow through on the mental health and domestic violence services, but she's doing everything she can under the circumstances. So we would agree she's in full compliance.
okay. All right, then I'll see y'all back in October. All right.
Thank
Good
you.
luck, Ms. Kerwin.
Ebony, you have my number. You use it if you need it. Okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. And Judge, I have a hearing with you at 2:30, but I've got one at 2 o'clock. In the meantime, with the court's permission, I will log out of this meeting and log back in a little bit before 2:30.
Request for quarter services.
Thank you, Judge.
We are conducting this through Zoom. We're live streaming, and Ms. Taylor is making our record today. All right, we'll go ahead and take announcements.
Alley on behalf of the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. I'm present and ready to proceed, Your Honor. In lieu of any testimony, I think we have an agreement with Ms. Zavala's concurrence.
All right.
I'm Tate Eldridge. I represent the father, Elmer Trio. We're both present, ready, Your Honor.
Stacy Zavala on behalf of the child, and if there is an agreement, I am in agreement as well.
All right. Then, Mr. Albee, if you'd like to announce what everybody's agreed to, that'd be great.
Thank you, Your Honor. Yes. I can do it, Mr. Trio, okay? Our agreement, Your Honor, is the department will offer Mr. Trio services, including a batterer's intervention program, parenting classes, and counseling services for both him and the child. There's currently a PCSP in place, and we ask that remain in place, and that if the advocate for the child would like to visit with Mr. Trio at his home, that she be allowed into that.
Okay, Mr. Trio, Ms. Zavala, I don't know whether you can you see her?
No.
Okay, Stacy, he may have it on speaker view, so if you would just.
Okay. Can you see me now?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, Ms. Zavala is your son's attorney, and so she will need periodic access to the child, and potentially to your home. So you understand that you need to respond to her as well.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. All right, then, Mr. Eldridge, does it sound like what you all have agreed to?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, and Ms. Zavala, you think this is in the best interest of the child?
I do, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, Mr. Trio, do you have any questions?
No, I do not.
Okay, just stay in close contact with your attorney and also with the folks with the department, and you'll work your way through this, and hopefully everything will be in a better position than it is right now. So I will approve the agreement, and I will also find that it's in the best interest of the child to grant the order to participate. And I'll sign that order, and we will come back for a compliance hearing on July 23rd of 2024. That'll be on a 9 o'clock docket. Mr. Trio, all that really is it's just a very kind of short, check-in kind of hearing, just for them to update me on how are things going. Is there anything new that we need to talk about? Is there anything else we need to try to offer you or help you with? How Elmer is doing, and just to make sure things are going like we want them to. Okay.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
All right. So they will get you started on these services, and quicker you get started on them, the quicker we can get out of your life. So.
Okay.
Okay. All right, then. I'll see everybody back July 23rd, and I appreciate everybody logging in and getting this worked out today. So everybody have a good rest of your afternoon.
All right. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you. Ms. Taylor, thank you. Ms. Canada, thank you.
I'll see you next week.